2.5 years before Ferguson, the shooting death of Trayvon Martin was a call to action for many people in this country. The unarmed teenager was 17 years old, and he was shot and killed in 2012 by George Zimmerman, who claimed he was attacked and that he fired in self-defense. Zimmerman was tried and acquitted of all charges. Now Trayvon Martin's parents, that's Sybrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, have teamed up with Jay-Z on the new 6-part docuseries. It's called Rest in Power, the Trayvon Martin Story. It chronicles Trayvon's death and the protest movement that emerged after it. Earlier this year, Tracy and Sybrina were honored in New York's Cathedral of St. John the Divine for their activism. We met with Sybrina there yesterday. You and Tracy received an award in this church.
I decided I could not let my son's death be in vain.
And I've heard you say, if it was up to you, none of us would know your name, none of us would know Trayvon's name. So how have you reconciled that now everybody knows you, everybody knows your story?
I chose to live, number one. I chose to move to my next chapter because if my son had died and I had died also and I was just walking around the earth not doing anything, then I would be dead too.
He slid a crime scene photo to me and asked, was that my son?
I was reluctant to, even speak, even to be the voice of my son, which seems like that's the natural thing to do, is to speak for Trayvon, who's not here. But I didn't want to. I just felt so weak and hopeless and helpless. God really had to work on me to strengthen me, to get me to speak up for other people, to speak up for my son, to speak up for myself.
Sybrina Fulton can still recall the moment 6 years ago when she learned that her 17-year-old son Trayvon Martin was shot and killed.
They say that time heals all wounds. It does not.
By Neighborhood Watch volunteer George Zimmerman. Zimmerman claimed self-defense.
My son was innocent. My son was the victim. My son didn't shoot and kill anyone. He didn't even own a gun. People look at the situation, they get angry with it, but we have to get angry to the point that we're doing something about it, and that's what I did.
The death of your son, Trayvon Martin, certainly launched a movement. What was it like for you the first time you went anywhere and you saw crowds, thousands of people saying, I am Trayvon Martin, or screaming his name? How did you process that?
Well, it was here in New York.
This is not about a black and white thing. This is about a right and wrong thing.
But you look so strong during that time, and I often marveled, does she feel as strong as she looks?
I did not. They didn't see me when I was very emotional. They didn't see me when I was depressed. And so where so many people were telling me how strong I was, I didn't feel it on the inside. And so I started speaking to myself. I started speaking to God. I started saying to myself, I am strong. I am strong. And then I started to feel like I really was strong.
How do you grieve and recover from the death of a child?
I think I had a great deal of support. Early on, I started reaching out to other mothers that had kids that were victims of senseless gun violence, and it kind of took the edge off of what I was going through. I had so many people that were positively lifting me up. Even now, through my difficult days, when I have my bad days. And
you still have bad days?
Absolutely. I'm gonna have bad days the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Because it feels like something.
What is a bad day? You're triggered by a memory, or what is it?
It doesn't really have to be a memory. It doesn't have to be something that I saw. I could wake up that morning and just have a bad feeling because it feels like I'm missing something. It feels like something is not right with my life. It feels like something is not in order with my life. And so I'm not afraid to cry. I'm not afraid to tell people that I cry. That's just my rainy day, but I know that a better day is coming.
How do you feel about George Zimmerman?
I don't give him a whole lot of time, a whole lot of focus.
So have you forgiven him?
I have not. I have not. I know that in my own time, in my own grief, and in this whole grieving process, that I have to forgive. But by the same token, I'm not at that point yet. I'm very honest with that. A lot of people ask me that question, and I'm very open and honest about it. I'm very real with my feelings, and I know I have not forgiven.
Sybrina says she never could have imagined that her son's death would have had this kind of impact as a catalyst for the Black Lives Matter movement. Even Trayvon's hoodie would become a symbol.
I call it Pandora's box, and it is the box of evidence that was given to me by the Department of Justice probably 3 years after Trayvon was shot and killed. And when I first got the box, I said I wasn't going to open the box. And of course, curiosity bothered me for a while because the box was in the house. And I opened the box, and I cried and cried and cried.
What was in the box?
In the box is everything that Trayvon had on. His hoodie, his pants, his t-shirt, his socks, his shoes, his cell phone, his money, the drink, the candy, everything is in the box.
Sybrina says she received a request a few years ago to display those items to the public in a museum. At first, she was not ready.
I didn't want anybody to see the things. I didn't want anybody to touch them. I just was like, no. And so this year, we're meeting now. There's a possibility, a strong possibility that they may end up in the museum because I feel like I have grown since that time. Even though I gave birth to Trayvon, I just think that he is everybody's son, and I need to share those things with everybody.
A lot of people do feel he's everybody's son still. We reached out to George Zimmerman for comment. We did not hear back from him. The third episode of the docuseries Rest in Power airs Monday on Paramount Network and BET. You know, it's very tough when you see in the documentary, you learn so many things that you didn't know about Trayvon. He wanted to fly. He was taking flying lessons with a friend, that he had great love for aviation. And you see, too, about George Zimmerman, who now is signing Skittles bags for people and bragging about how, yeah, I shot Trayvon Martin, and then he sold the gun. So you learn so many things, and we have been covering that case from the very beginning. It was just interesting to see. And I asked her that iconic picture of Trayvon in the hoodie, where did that come from? That was a selfie that he had taken of himself. I always wondered about that.
You know, when she says that she's always going to have bad days,
yes.
I can't imagine.
Yes.
And but it's so powerful to hear her express these emotions that she still has all these years later.
Yeah, she said someone should have to pay for every tear she shed. She still doesn't feel that justice has happened in this case. I don't know if it will ever get justice to her satisfaction. It's still very, very painful.
She says she turned to other mothers whose children were taken away by gun violence for help and solace, and so many have turned to her now.
And that's what the work of the Trayvon Martin Foundation does.
Similar issues, right?
Yeah. That gives her some comfort that she's doing something to make sure that he didn't die in vain, and that she knows that she's helping other mothers.
Yeah.
Such a powerful interview, Gail. Thank you.
Thanks.